Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Mace, and this is my second UFO podcast that I'm doing. And I'm going ahead and already uploading this because I had most of it prepared, but I would still only count on having one UFO podcast per week. I'm just starting off with two because it's been a while since I posted any documentaries. Anyway, this time I'm covering the Zona del Silencio, or the Zone of Silence in Mexico, that seems to have a lot of strange history behind it, and I thought was pretty interesting, and I really wanted to research it. So I hope you enjoy it, and let's go ahead and take a look at it. All right, so the name Zone of Silence came from a 1966 Pemex oil expedition to the area led by Augusto Harry de la Peña, and he was frustrated by the radio problems that he was having, so he decided to call the land the Zone of Silence, and that name has stuck ever since. The disruption is believed to be caused by underground deposits of magnetite and meteorite impacts, but there's nothing that's been directly proven, and even current day ranchers don't have any problems with cell phones or two-way radios or anything like that in the zone. And there's even a YouTube video of a motorcycle explorer lady going through the area, and she doesn't appear to have any issues either. Now, as far as meteorites are concerned, here's the basic rundown. There was one in 1852 called Chupaderos that ended up with fragments totaling 24.3 tons, and that being solid iron. And there were a few others. There was one in 1938, another in 1954, and a third fell in 1969 in the Allende Valley that caused a huge light and woke up a lot of the residents around the area. Now, the Zone of Silence itself is supposed to sit on the borders of Chihuahua, Durango, and Coahuila, if I'm pronouncing that right, with a lot of celestial and meteorite activity. On July 11th, 1970, the zone would have another incident, and this time from an Athena rocket that was launched from Air Force Base in the United States from Green River, Utah, that was supposed to be headed towards White Sands, New Mexico. Instead, it went wild and crazy and ended up crashing in the area called the Zone of Silence. Now, this Athena rocket carried a hazardous radioactive compound called cobalt 57, and it was supposed to measure how much of the ablative material covering the nose cone burned off during reentry. And its crash caused the US and Mexican government to have to build a temporary railroad spur in the area to clean up all the mess and the contaminated soil. And then everything from that was shipped to White Sands for disposal. It's said that Werner von Braun himself even spent 28 days in the area with the US government investigating and measuring the soil and just seeing everything that went wrong so they could improve in the future. And this actually led to the area gaining worldwide attention and would lead to the Mexican government creating the Mapimi Biosphere Reserve, which is actually a UNESCO research site in this day. Now, back in the day, that area of Mexico had been used as a salt mining area, and there were mine shafts and other dangerous places where you can fall or even trip and get lost in the area. Today, there are laborers with shovels and wheelbarrows that mine the area, and it's not somewhere where you should go without a guide just because of the danger of it. It's difficult terrain, and it's not something you can get around easy. Now, just like Roswell before it, this area has definitely grown to support tourism, and there are people you can hire that will guide you around. But just be sure to take everything with a grain of salt, with the salt mines, because they may have a magnet or something in their pockets that they have to make your compass go crazy or anything like that, because no radios or internet problems really occur in the zone anymore. It's just more of kind of a big, empty, treacherous area. And it's better to have a guide within you than try to go and explore it by yourself because you could get lost. Now, as far as mutant animals or giant insects go, I couldn't find any pictures or records of any of them. It's possible that they've evolved to blend in with the environment or they live underground, only coming out at night. But it's just not something I see, so I don't really believe the stories of the mutated animals from the radioactive material or anything else that's come out around there. Now, obviously, the most famous aspect of the zone, besides technology not working out there, is the aliens. And there are people from both tourists to locals that have claimed to see weird objects in the sky and weird lights. And there are people that have gone out in the zone of silence or gotten lost out there that say they've encountered Nordic aliens, the tall, white, really attractive looking ones, and they stopped to help them out. Now, all I could find for trying to find the encounters with it is just local folklore about them speaking Spanish and asking for water in return, and that when they don't leave any footprints, and when people ask them where they come from, they just say they come from above, which, of course, is the sky, and it's the alien explanation for things. But if anybody else out there has any specific stories or any specific websites where they've seen things that could help all of us to understand maybe where these Nordic alien stories are coming from a little better, please let us know in the comments so that, you know, we can learn more about it. Now, the area was once flooded with tourists or zoneros, as the locals call them, but due to the deteriorating security situation in Mexico, that has sort of died off a little bit. Um, but there's still people that would like to build up the area more and make it safe for tourists to come and explore the zone and hopefully bring some more money into the community. But there aren't any firm plans right now. So that's about all that I could find for the Zone of Silence. You think it's going to be this really big, deep thing, but aside from movies that have been made about it and small documentaries, there's really not a lot to it. I mean, most of it's kind of just been folklore that's been blown out of proportion. I mean, there are strange lights that appear over the area, but none of this magnetic or radio interference stuff that people talk about. And I'd be interested to see if anybody has ever gotten a picture of these tall whites that have supposedly appeared in the area either. But for now, I'll keep an open mind about it and say that I just don't have enough information to come to a definite conclusion about the zone of silence. I just thought it would be an interesting topic to look at. So, anyway, therefore ends my second UFO podcast. I was honestly hoping to find out a lot more about this, but unfortunately, the information is very limited. If anybody has any good stories about visiting the area and would love to share, it'd be great to have those. And I think that my next UFO documentary next week is probably going to be on the Sorry China Hole in Romania because I think that's also something that hasn't been covered enough and has a lot of strangeness to it that I would love to explore. So I hope you enjoyed this. I really appreciate all of you for being subscribers and listening to these. And I will see you in my next podcast.